So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Patriots, gay triots, they triots, black triots, brown triots.
Fuck off!
And the fuck off is to MAGA.
Yeah.
Just so there's no confusion about that. Welcome to America's top DEI podcast. Pumps, what have you had it with?
Okay, what I've had it with is when you make a return and they call you and say, do you want us to credit your card? This has happened to me 2 times in 2 weeks. I don't know if it's an ongoing, like a new thing, but I'm like, well, let's see. I fucking returned it. What do you think I wanted? Just a card? But they're calling you. And I noticed they haven't credited my account because I've been dodging the call.
Okay, wait, hold up. Is this something you ordered online?
Yes.
Okay, and then you shipped it back.
Correct.
And then they gave you a phone call.
Correct.
Are these China shops you've been ordering from?
No, not those. They're American companies located in the United States. And they have like going concerns you can walk into and have called me. First time that I answered, because I wasn't sure who it was. And, I'm always looking for a survey. And I was like, well, yes, why would I return it? I just thought it was like maybe somebody messed up. Then I got a voicemail Friday that said, well, we received this back and we just wanted to make sure that you wanted us to credit your account.
What company is this?
It's a furniture company.
Okay. So do you think they're running some racket where they're trying to give you a store credit, then you forget about the store credit, and then they pocket the money?
Well, here's the thing. So I've been looking since then. Have they credited my account? Because clearly they had it last week. Still haven't credited my account. So what I think they're doing is if you don't call them back, they're just keeping the money and not putting it back on your card. So I'm going to call them after this, but I just want to go on the permanent record. If somebody returns something, it is implied they want their money back. They don't want to thank you. They don't want a card. They certainly don't want a telephone call. But yeah, that's what's happening to me.
Yeah, it reminds me of like, I wish that we would get to the phase where when a relationship is over, it's over. Whether it be an email, whether it be like I got my car serviced, which is not a fun experience to have to surrender your car, not have a car, go through all of it. It's expensive, et cetera. And then they want you to do a survey about the experience. And it's like nothing about this experience was good. And the survey just made it really miserable.
Right.
I know you like a survey. I don't want to talk about it. When I'm done with something, I'm done forever. Anyway, I want to shift gears and tell you what I've had it with. And I have had it. I've had it with the fact that Grindr crashed twice during the MAGA Donald Trump Muffin Top Kanks convention. And it just still isn't in the news cycle. This needs to be at the top of the news cycle all day, every day, because I've identified the fundamental problem with this country right now. And if you're in MAGA, you say, the problem is the LGBTQ plus and the flag, and they're cramming it down everybody's throat. That's what they think is a legitimate problem. People being whatever sexuality they are and expressing it accordingly. I say it's deeper than that. I say the problem is the DL LGBTQ plus community. In the DL LGBTQ plus community are all of these MAGA politicians. Let me give you an example. If I didn't know anything about America and I didn't know anything about Donald Trump, Kanks, about his history, and I came here from another planet and I was dropped here and then I started watching footage of Kanks, I would think he was an out of the closet bisexual. He gave a microphone a blowjob.
Right.
He's drooling. Drooling, talking about the size of Arnold Palmer's cock. And I would think, boy, this guy is not only, he's super bi, but a total size queen. At his rallies, he's always like, look at this good-looking guy. Stand up. Look at the muscles on this guy. Oh, he's a good-looking guy. I mean, really excited about men. And then I see the people in the cult so excited about Donald Trump. I think there might be erectile issues with his current state, so they have to Photoshop what they want him to look like, but it's his essence, for pornographic reasons.
Right.
But I just think, and then we get to Moses Mike Johnson, I think total queen.
Oh,
he's
100%.
He's a DL LGBTQ. When we get to Josh Hawley, DL LGBTQ. When we get to Moses Mike, DL LGBTQ. And then we get to like Ted Cruz and people like that. And I don't know what it is, but I know it's not something that Jesus would approve of. Now, I don't give a shit because I'm not a prude, Puritan, religious hypocrite. But I think the reason why we're experiencing this trauma and this hostile takeover of our democracy is because of DL LGBTQ+. And I think there is this moment, and I understand this, in the LGBTQ+ community where it's like and I agree with it's painful sometimes if you come from a Republican conservative family and you're gay, and I believe you're born that way. And the journey to come out can be traumatizing, abusive. You get bullied. Your parents don't speak to you. It's horrific, right? And so there should be an approach where we're kind and gentle and understanding about that. Here's where I cross away from that is when you have these demon queens actively bullying and intimidating the LGBTQ+ community. I'm speaking about Kitten Hills in Florida that painted over the Pride crosswalk. For what? Just to be a dick?
Just to be a dick.
Just to be a dick, to bully these people more. So I just want to remind America that there is a group of DL, LGBTQ+ people within the MAGA movement that are in it, and then supporters of it that they talk about gayness and queerness and trans issues way too much to not identify with it on some level. And they're passing all of this legislation. Now we've got this horrific woman that's going, taking her case to the Supreme Court, the bunhead.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've had it with that. And I want MAGA to answer. I want all of MAGA to answer. Why did Grindr crash twice?
2 times.
2 times. And I want to keep it at the top of the news cycle. I want these hypocrites that bully people that had the courage and the bravery to come out and be who they are and be human beings on this planet that have jobs and problems and all the stuff that we do, in face of all these religious Christian hypocrites that are so cruel to them, and they try to find pride, which is why it's called Pride Month, in who they are. And you've got all these crusty white people that are just horrific about it. And I want these crusty white people to answer, why do you go and put a maxi pad on your ear during the day and say, God bless Donald Trump, and then go back to your hotel room, get on Grindr and go out and do gay stuff? Why do you do it? I want you to answer for it.
Well, and how do you not feel like a hypocrite? Why don't you feel yucky inside?
Because you can't shame the shameless.
You can't shame the shameless. But here's just a little thing. From my background, shame is such a driving force in evangelical Christian circles, particularly with regard to sex. So it is amazing that these people that are shameless, at the same time, they shame women that have sex with multiple men outside of marriage. They shame gay people, but yet they exalt and are rah for men that have several sexual partners. So the shameless are really good at shaming people, because I remember feeling so much shame about sex growing up, how it was taboo, I guess.
Do you think this is why you're asexual?
Maybe. I really think the reason I'm asexual is because I'm just lazy. I'm just too lazy to go out and cultivate a relationship.
I do think probably the impetus of not coming out of the closet for them is initially shame. But when you cross over a boundary and then you decide that you're both going to praise Jesus and praise kanks, and then at night get on Grindr and go do gay shit, there's a part of me at that moment where I can't have empathy for the closet case anymore. I have empathy for a lot of people in the closet, having grown up in the Bible Belt and have so many gay friends. And I saw firsthand how their parents treated them when they came out of the closet with, disappointment. The parents were ashamed. They didn't speak to them. They thought it was personal. I remember my friends. I remember one gay friend in particular. We were sophomores in college, and his parents were divorced. His parents, the parent that lived in Oklahoma City, he told they were pretty accepting about it. The other parent and the new spouse lived in rural Oklahoma. And it took 3 or 4 months mentally for him to even prepare to go tell them, because he was so fearful of the shame, of the judgment, of the rejection. And the fact that these people are being that duplicitous. I'm going to be a pious, moral high ground, hypocritical prick during the day. And at night, I'm going to be a power bottom. I've had it. I have absolutely had it, because just by matter of statistics, that if Grindr crashed twice, we're talking about a lot of DL LGBTQ pluses in attendance at the MaxiPad convention.
100%.
Okay. And then also by statistic, and no judgment if you're a top or a bottom, do what you want. I'm a liberal. I don't want to be involved in your bedroom, but I do want to be involved in the DL LGBTQ pluses private lives, because they want to get in everybody else's private lives. So at that point, I want to know, Mike Johnson, are you a power bottom? I want to know.
He strikes me as a power bottom.
I want to know why you are so consumed with this. And I further want to know why your roommate in Washington, D.C. currently is an evangelical preacher who's connected to another Nashville-based investor that has gay sex, and that Moses Mike Johnson's roommate answers the door when Mike gets home from work in his panties. And I want to know the details of that, because if Moses Mike is going to get on camera and go, yeah, God told me I was Moses. It's like, really, Mike? Really? Did God go, hey, little buddy, wake up? It's God.
Hey, little power bottom.
Hey, little power bottom, wake up. It's God. Guess what? You're going to be Moses in Kanks' administration. I mean, we cannot give up our democracy and our country for these fucking hypocritical flea bags. Welcome to I've Had It. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Angie, HBIC, head beaver.
She is our head beaver in charge, our asexual beaver.
Our asexual beaver.
All right. I have some news stories I want to share with the listener and with Pumps.
Okay.
All right. Nearly half of Gen Zers have mom regularly talk to their boss.
Shut up. No.
Half of Gen Zers bring their parents to work. Parental help isn't limited to the job search. Many Gen Zers say their parents continue to be involved even after they are hired at varying frequencies. 86% have their parents review their performance reviews. 83% have their parents pack their lunch for work. 79% say their parents communicate with their manager.
This cannot be real.
73% get help from their parents completing work assignments. 57% bring their parents to work.
I just don't even think this can be true. Like, if this is what is happening in real time, we have bigger problems than I even thought. These titty babies are taking their parents to work.
Here's the problem, though, Pumps. We talk about titty babies a lot, but there are titty baby parents that cultivate and create titty babies, and they want their children to be emotionally and physically enmeshed with them. They do not parent autonomy. They are involved in every aspect of their life. And when you think about like the healthy cycle of life, You are very attached to your parents, obviously, when you're a child. And then as you turn 12, 13, you start the process of leaving the house. By the time you have a job, your boss should not know your parents' name.
100% agree.
Your parent should make sure that the boss doesn't know your name. That's where we get into the none of your business. But I fault the parents for participating in this, because if my child called me and said, I want you to come to work and look over my performance review, I would say, I will come to your office and pick you up, and we're going to go take you somewhere to get some help.
Right. We're going to have a therapist on standby.
I have failed.
Yes.
That you think this is a possibility. I have failed as a parent. We both need to go somewhere and get some help.
Yeah, I'm with you. I completely fault the parents. The parents are the problem, getting them the jobs. I mean, we had applications here for an internship. Everybody that applied, like their parents reached out and said, hey, my daughter, it was a no. Immediate.
Yeah.
And the person we hired, we know her mother, yet she just cold called us. That's who we hired. I don't want anybody whose parents reach out. Full stop. No.
For my interior design business, I remember this woman reached out to me on social media. And it was like, my daughter is a senior in high school. She thinks she wants to study interior design. I thought it'd be great for her to spend a summer with you to figure out if she likes it or not. Like, this was my fucking problem.
Right.
Like, I am, no. And so, and then I just said, I don't, respectfully, I appreciate the reach out, but I do not hire people or have interns unless they can reach out on their own. And, that shut her up immediately. But I don't even think it had occurred to her how inappropriate. But that is a situation where that kid is going to be a titty baby, but the mom raised a titty baby. You have a titty baby parent that is completely, and I think parents oftentimes just enable their kids when they're adults. When they're little, you're the center of my universe is an appropriate thing to say, because it's literally and figuratively and metaphorically true. When your kids become adults, like, it's okay to say to them, I don't have time to listen to your story right now. I love you, but I don't have time. I think parents enable this, you are the most special thing on the planet, into adulthood.
Right.
And then they go to work, and guess what? They're just some other motherfucker that punches the clock.
Right.
Right.
Their boss doesn't like, oh my gosh, Johnny, you got here on time today. Here, let's take a selfie and post on Instagram because you're the greatest employee in the world. I mean, I have kids in the workforce or of workforce age, and they have told me, well, my daughter, about friends that have like cried in the bathroom at work because somebody was mean to them or whatever. I'm just like, they're bigger mountains to climb.
I'll tell you, that's something I noticed in my interior design business. When you hire people that are not of your generation, I noticed there was more crying. And I cry, and I'm probably a sociopath. All right. There's a good, strong case to be made for that. I cry maybe once annually, tops. I mean, it takes a lot for me to cry. And I understand that some people cry very easily, and I'm not mocking that. But there were certain things that somebody who worked for me would cry about. And I remember I was just thinking, this is not commensurate with what happened. Like, this is just, these two things don't go together. What happened here and this level of tears don't belong in the same chapter in the same book. These are two completely different incidents. The one thing is here is this thing got messed up at work. The other problem here is you're a basket case.
Right. And you're going to have mess ups and you're going to be called out. You can't get your feelings hurt. Work is not personal.
No.
It's just, that story, I'll tell you what, even though I know that, I was shocked by the numbers.
That's shocking. That's really shocking. Okay, next up. I want to get the Beaver Legal Eagle's opinion on this, considering she's America's top divorce attorney. Man donated his kidney to his wife and demanded it back, or $1.5 million when he filed for divorce. A shocking divorce case went viral after a man demanded either his kidney back or $1.5 million in compensation from his wife. Years earlier, he donated the organ to save her life. When she later filed for divorce, he argued that his life-saving gift should be factored into the settlement. While the case stirred massive public debate, courts ruled that organ donations are legally considered gifts and cannot be reclaimed regardless of personal circumstances.
Completely agree. It's a gift. You gave it voluntarily. It's just like when you have a family heirloom for a wedding ring and your daughter or your son gives it to his fiance as an engagement ring, and then they get divorced. I've had so many clients say, well, I should get that ring back. It was my grandmother's. Tough shit. It was a gift. Like, you gave it to her. It wasn't like no take backs. You have to.
So hold up. So if like, I guess that makes sense. I'm just trying to play. So if I gave my son my wedding ring to propose to his fiance,
right,
and they get divorced, I can't say, wait, I want that back.
No, it's dead.
That's a gift.
It's a gift.
Okay, I agree with that.
Yeah, and the kidney is the same thing. It was a gift. You don't get compensated for a gift. Fuck off. It's pretty fucking petty too. Arguing about you want compensation for your kidney.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'm thinking.
She fucked around.
He found out. He does not want the opposing penis near his kidney.
That's what I think too.
He's immediately protecting his kidney
from
close proximity to a foreign penis.
Yeah, he thought he would be the only penis close to that kidney.
Yeah.
Now
it's the only thing that makes sense.
That level of pettiness doesn't come if there's no fucking around.
Yeah. Foreign penis involved.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Incoming foreign invasion. All right. Next up. Marriage graduation refers to couples who move away yet still remain married. Marriage graduation is growing in popularity, and it refers to a legally married couple who chose to live apart to pursue individual goals, personal freedom, or a renewed appreciation for each other without the constraints of traditional cohabitation. This arrangement allows for independence and personal fulfillment in later years, with couples maintaining their love and commitment while, quote, graduating from the daily obligations of living together.
I think if this was the standard, far less people would get divorced. Far, far, far less. I think it's the perfect solution to marriage.
I'm about to do this. I've rented an apartment in New York. I just moved my youngest son to California for college. I always wanted to live in New York. I'm tired of being in the Bible Belt, although the friends that I have here, red state liberals, are built different. We're tougher. If we were running the Democratic Party right now, people would not feel so much despair. But I always wanted to do it. So I rented an apartment. I'm going to go back and forth, but Josh will stay here because he has a law practice. And I kind of feel like I graduated. Like, I did it. I survived you, Josh.
I think you meant me. Same.
I raised the kids, and I love Josh, and I love the time that I spend with him, but we're not so like, somebody asked me the other day, aren't you going to miss Josh? I was like, yeah, I will, but I'm not a person like that, like yearns like, oh my God, I miss you so much. My heart hurts.
You guys aren't super emotionally needy of each other.
At all.
You're not, I mean, which I think is healthy, but I have a girlfriend that her husband travels like 3 weeks a month. She's like, that's the secret to our happy marriage. I mean, she's happier than she's ever been. And it's because they're apart a lot. And I just think living with someone, the mundane things about living with somebody else get on your nerves. In a situation like that, it's just you're excited to see him and it's fun.
Yeah.
You miss him. I think it's great. I think we should start doing this.
Yeah. I think the way that we have set stuff up, I think this is a part of like what MAGA's fighting so much against.
Yes, agree.
They want everybody to have this, even though, Trump's been married 3 or 4 times and we have all the DL LGBTQs like Mike Johnson that plays House and Congressman during the day and then power bottom at night on Grindr, in my opinion. I don't know that he for sure does that, but if I were betting in Vegas, I'd probably win.
Right.
But the idea that women could have this level of independence, whether she says, yes, honey, you go and you live somewhere to do this for your career or whatever your dream is, or that a man would be supportive of his wife, that type of equality is so healthy. And it's the natural evolution of our society, of our democracy, of civilization in making both genders equal. But it's what terrifies the DL LGBTQ plus movement that crashed Grindr twice, whose leader performs oral sex on microphones and gets really, really excited about the size of penises. The excitement in that video, the large penis.
Talks about it openly.
And he goes, the size of that thing.
Well, we all know from Stormy Daniels, he's got a little bit of tiny nubbin.
Yeah.
But I do think Make America Great Again means make women in the home where they can't get a credit card, that they can't own a home. I mean, do not fool yourself, white women. Do not fool yourself. They want your daughters at home cooking and cleaning and submitting to a husband. I believe that, full stop.
Well, remember the news story we read a few episodes ago where the husband told the wife, they were like a trad marriage, God wants me to spank you.
Oh, yeah.
And her pastor told her she had to submit to that. So basically her pastor told her to submit to sexual violence because it wasn't just a slap and tickle sexual encounter. Of course, it was just downright, he was a sadist.
Right.
And it was incredibly abusive. And these places don't make women safe. And at the epicenter of this MAGA movement are emotionally stunted people.
Yep.
The LGBTQs in which I speak are incredibly emotionally stunted, unlike those that have pride in the community, that did the work and fight for equality and civil rights. Same thing for these misogynists. These are broken people with inner child issues that refuse to go to therapy. And I mean, we haven't even touched on Stephen Miller.
Oh,
I mean, I think that's got to be a full-blown S&M style something. I picture him. He acts like he's the tough guy. But if I were a betting gal in Vegas, betting on the proclivities of these MAGA men, here's where I would bet Stephen Miller is. You know that famous scene from Pulp Fiction where the large black actor gets the ball gag put on and the two rednecks anally R.I.P. him. Stephen Miller in public likes to play like he would be the R.A.P.I.S.T. In private, I think he's with the ball gag getting pegged.
Yeah, I 100% think he's the submissive.
Yeah.
And he likes to be browbeat and ugly talked to and all that.
I think he likes to get pegged.
Yeah.
I think so we have a situation where he likes to get pegged and spanked. That's my opinion. And probably think, oh, why are you talking about this? Blah, blah, blah. Because these people are specifically broken, especially broken around sex. And we need to talk about why these people are so broken that they are ripping our democracy to shreds, have religious pastors. Pete Hegseth's pastor talks about women losing the right to vote. So this is serious. Like, it is as serious as it gets. These are Christian nationalist psychos, many of whom are LGBTQ pluses. And I mean, basically, I've had it.
I've had it too.
Pumps and I need to share with everybody that we have written a book. It's called Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. And believe it or not, Pumps and I have not always been so rock solid. And we talk about all of our trials, tribulations, most of all our fuck-ups. Yes, because fuck-ups are relatable and a part of the human experience.
I have gotten so much feedback regarding the book that because of my situation with the religion and addiction and all that people relate to that. So I do think there's something to take away that's comforting about it because we've all been in very difficult situations.
And listener, what we want you to do, this is the it book for summer reading. So please get your copy of Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches and take a picture of yourself with the book in really great places and tag at I've Had It podcast, and we will share your images with our summer it book. You can buy it in bookstores. You can buy it in the link in our bio. You can buy it at Target, Walmart, Amazon, etc. All the retailers. Happy reading and happy summer. Some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site. Could it be because it has a sleek, spam-free site or the most in-depth school info? Homes.com knows every parent wants the best for their kids, so they're the only ones with school and district details, and reviews from multiple sources, including niche. It may be Homes.com's super comprehensive and transparent agent directory, or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com has 22 data visualization layers, 7 environmental layers, and allows you to search by commute and architectural factors. It's the home search you've been searching for. Go to Homes.com today for home shopping the way it should be. Homes.com, we've done your homework.
If you're paying rent every month without earning anything in return, let me introduce you to Built, the rewards program designed for renters who want to earn something for their largest monthly expense. Let me explain. By paying rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward the hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, or your next Lyft ride, and so much more. But it doesn't stop there. Built is about making your entire neighborhood more rewarding. You can dine out at your favorite local restaurants and earn additional points, get VIP treatment at certain fitness studios, and enjoy exclusive experience just for Built members every month. Built is turning a monthly expense into an opportunity to earn rewards and discover the best that your neighborhood has to offer. Your rent is finally working for you. Earn points on rent and around your neighborhood wherever you call home by going to joinbuilt.com/hadit. That's joinbilt.com/hadit. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you.
All right, we have a really exciting guest today. He's very smart. I'm hoping that we can keep up. I think he might be a little bit smarter than us combined, which is not that smart. We were on his show on MSNBC, and he is the co-host of the Weekend Primetime. Let's welcome to I've Had It, Aiman Mohyeldin. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
I have to admit, Kylie did like a phonetic spelling for me. But Aiman, how are you?
I'm good, given all things. You know, that question is a very difficult question to answer these days with everything that's happening in the country and overseas. I feel like when you answer it, you kind of answer it on two levels. One level is just kind of very reflexive. I'm doing well. My family's doing well. Everybody's doing well. But then it's so hard to kind of watch what is happening in your community, to your friends, to your country, to people overseas, and not feel affected by it.
That split screen, I think, is the most relatable thing that all Americans feel, because I will go about my life and I'll listen to some yacht rock in my car and I'm driving down the road. I'm singing. My dogs are in the back. The windows are down. I see their faces out and I'm thinking, God, this is a great day. Yeah. And then it hits me, or I look down at my phone and Kanks, that's what we call Donald Trump, short for Kankles McTaco Tits. We just call him Kanks. Kanks has done some crazy shit, or he signed some effed up executive order. And then it hits me. And it's like this complete duality where on the one hand, I'm genuinely pretty happy and I feel free, like I'm having a good time. And then I know that he is causing all this pain and suffering and sending people to concentration camps. And I don't even think he's mentally all there.
He's not. In fact, I was just actually sharing a clip with a friend of mine anecdotally. He was the other day. There's so many of these clips now that just make you think this guy does not seem to be all mentally there. But I just shared a clip with a friend of mine at the White House. He was standing next to the president of FIFA talking about how he thinks he's a great soccer player. He looks great in shorts, and maybe he should be playing.
He's a great athlete. And he thinks he's a good athlete.
Yeah, this is a guy who thinks he's 6'3", 6'4", 220 pounds, maybe. I think he thinks he's built like a linebacker, an NFL linebacker. And I'm just thinking in my head, again, I have this expression, if Biden would have, because there are so many moments now where you're just watching this, you're watching these press conferences, you're watching these moments, you're watching him trip on the stairs, you're watching him fumble very basic language, you're finding him, mixing up the names of very prominent governors like Gretchen Whitmer, and he's called her Christine Whitman, I think, or something. And you think if Joe Biden would have done this, there would have been a media meltdown. There would have been nonstop wall-to-wall coverage of, is he mentally competent? Should he continue to be president? Is it time for him to step aside? And yet, as a small just example of the double standards that we have in this country, Donald Trump says it, people laugh it off, people brush it off, people just move on with their lives. There's not this media meltdown from the right, and certainly not from anywhere else. And we just kind of move on like it's totally normal.
Right. It's not at the top of the fold. My if Biden is, if Merrick Garland would have taken care of fucking business, we would not be here. Like, I cannot express how disappointed I am with the Merrick Garland Department of Justice, because he should be in jail right now. We shouldn't even be having these conversations.
And again, you bring up such an important point about the different set of rules that Republicans play by and that the Democrats play by. And everything with Republicans, specifically this administration, is all about projection, right? They project onto their enemies, their foes, what they want done, because they always have a double standard with what they think is the set of rules for them versus what the rules are for everybody else. And I'll give you a very good point about Merrick Garland. You're talking about an attorney general who came in on the heels of an insurrection, on the heels that everybody could see was incited by Donald Trump, after a phone call in which the president of the United States called the Secretary of State of Georgia telling him, go find me votes. It took him months to just prepare and think about and roll his time or take his time in rolling out this investigation. Donald Trump has been in office for about 7 months, 8 months. Look at the way that he has weaponized the Department of Justice, reopened investigations into people like John Bolton, who I have no love for as a politician or as an official in this country for what he has done, but nonetheless deserves due process, had an investigation into classified documents effectively closed under Biden, only to be reopened by this administration. You have basically a list that was published by Kash Patel that they're now kind of slowly working their way through from former officials that they dislike, whether it's James Comey or John Brennan or all these other officials. So it's just mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling that anybody who's watching this administration is not aware of how they have moved to weaponize the Department of Justice and project what they have always criticized the other side of doing. Now they are doing it themselves.
I mean, I think he telegraphs everything that he's going to do by either projecting like he'll say, we're not going to have a country anymore. Well, that is his end turn. I mean, when you erode the judiciary, ultimately you will erode the economy. So all of these country club Republicans that voted because they wanted the tax break, but they're socially liberal, but fiscally conservative. When you erode the judiciary, you do that by electing a convicted felon. And when that convicted felon then pardons all of the insurrectionists, that just starts. And of course, the Supreme Court started that before. But I always am, because we live in a red state. And so the folks that look like Angie and me that ended up trumping, they did it, they say, for fiscal reasons. Yeah. And those things just, you cannot square that circle, because when you erode the judiciary, where do businesses take their contracts to enforce them? And the economy is inevitably next. But before we get too far into kinks, we like to do just a light dusting of everyday grievances, because we have to live in that split screen that we were talking about earlier. So Ayman, what have you had it with?
Okay. I don't know if you're experiencing this, but it's almost back to school here in New York. My kids are getting ready to go back to school in about a week's time. And we are already starting to get the emails from the schools. We're starting to get the WhatsApp groups up and running. And I got to be honest with you. I have had it with all these WhatsApp groups, chat groups, all the emails that we're getting from the schools and everything to do with school hasn't even started yet. And I feel like already overwhelmed with registering for aftercare classes, enrichment classes, what you have to do, the timeline, the groups, what you have to buy. And I'm like, I feel like you need an entire, you need like an assistant just to
totally,
go through
yes.
like an assistant just to go through the emails and WhatsApp messages involving the kids' back to school programs. And it's just overwhelming.
How old are your kids?
I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son.
Oh, wow. Okay. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you that when they get to high school, it gets better. But I have bad news for you. My youngest son just graduated from high school, and I just moved him to USC last week. Congrats. And thank you. And the senior mom group me was so incredibly psychotic and codependent. We have this phrase in the South where when somebody is a mama's boy or a mama's girl, we call them titty babies, right? So you have a generation of titty babies, but really they're raised by hyper-involved parents that titty babied them. And we were just talking about this before you came on. And I think it's a huge problem because I remember when I was younger, I don't know that my mother was ever at the high school. Never. Not one time.
I mean, it's such an interesting point. I mean, I'm going through this also because, like, you know, I'm from the generation where we did not have internet. We did not have emails. I think my parents also, as immigrants, were still kind of figuring out the public school system in America. So that was a bit of a learning curve. And we spent a lot of it trying to figure it out ourselves. And I think for the most part, it worked well. But now it's like almost too much involvement. I think, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I feel like at some point you just want to have your kids try to kind of, I mean, my kids are still young, so I want to be involved. But to the extent that they can with the school figure these things out, it would be great. I don't know, like getting a list of every single thing and an update of every single activity and every single meal that they're having and what lunch they're having and what's on the menu this week. I'm just kind of like, it's so overwhelming. And like I said, it is something that we're trying to navigate to the best of our abilities with like full-time jobs. And we're not doing a very good job at it. Let me just say that.
I kind of think you're doing a disservice to your kids. And I was an over mother. I'm not saying I wasn't, but the mothers that are at school all the time, that are constantly in people's business. Hey, little Johnny's having a snack and I'm doing this. Yeah, right. It's just like, shut up. Like, get more to do. Maybe a part-time job for you. Maybe something that you could do outside of being your kid's business. But it gets worse. I'm telling you, it gets worse.
Here's what I have to say about my co-host Pumps, who I love. It was probably about 4 years ago. So we have 5 kids between us. No, listener, we're not lesbians, but we did kind of raise our kids together.
Yeah, we did raise our kids together.
Not that there's anything wrong if we were lesbians, nonetheless. Her oldest son was the first to college. And I remember exactly where we were. We went to lunch at this restaurant in Oklahoma City called Saturn Grill. And she gets a message. And I think her son was a sophomore. And she is in a college group me. And I want to tell you that I really let her have it because I thought this is beyond the pale. Kids need to go to college and fail. You need to succeed and fail. Like failing is a part of childhood that prepares you for adulthood because adulthood is a series of failures. And you wake up and you look in the mirror and you go, you dumb bitch, you failed again. And you have to rinse and repeat and go over and over until you can learn to manage it. But I mean, it goes on into college. Are you in any parent group me's right now in college?
No, I don't even have group me on my phone anymore.
Okay. This is growth. Ayman.
Yeah. And if I responded on the group me, my son would be furious. But no, the group me, when I finally deleted the app, he was a junior or maybe
in college.
And the moms are still going strong. Still going strong.
Well, I feel like it becomes like a bit of a support group for the parents and it's less about the kids, right? Like, I mean, there have been times where I'm on these group chats where I get a sense that it's all like the parents want to go have a drink and they want to go hang out and I thought like the WhatsApp group was supposed to be, hey, here's the situation at the school. Here's like, we need volunteers. We need, a parent to go on a trip to chaperone the kids. But it ends up morphing into like a social calendar for like 60, 70 different parents in the entire class in the different groups. And I'm like, guys, I love you guys, but I don't care about what your summer plans are, like who's going where and who's doing what. And it's just like, let's be to the point. If it has to involve the kids, let's just kind of keep it focused on that. If we need to put them in a camp, who's going to do drop-offs, who's going to do pickoffs, let's try to like use it as a logistical support tool as opposed to like a like mental support group for the entire parent.
And then also in the South, it turns into, and I'm sure you've been a part of this, kind of like out-momming each other and then taking a victory lap in the group me. I've had it with that. Like you win, you can have it. You can have at it, girl. You go be the homeroom mom, swing for the fences, sis. Your kid is going to be the titty baby that goes to work, and his mom isn't there to tell him, congratulations, she made it on time, and is going to have a meltdown. Like this drives us crazy, and Godspeed, because I think it keeps getting worse and worse. Okay. You had another one that you emailed with us, which I want to talk about, which I think is really good. You said that you had it with countries that don't use air conditioning during the summer, and you were recently in France.
Yes. So this was a bit of a rude awakening for me, I have to say. We just did our summer vacation, and we spent a little time in Paris. My wife actually has an apartment in Paris, and so we were able to use it for the first time in a long time. And I didn't know this, but it didn't have air conditioning. And we were in Paris in the middle of a heat wave. And so she tells me as we are arriving to Paris, oh, by the way, this apartment, nice apartment, very, comfortable for us, doesn't have air conditioning. And I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't have air conditioning? Apparently France, less than 20% of apartments in France have air conditioning. And I'm like, okay, hold on. France, we always think of France as like a civilized country because of like the museums and the art, and it's like so sophisticated. How do you guys not have air conditioning? I mean, I've been to third world countries that have air conditioning in every apartment. How does France not have it? And so apparently it's also become like a political issue now in France between like the right and the left, between some people who think that, we should have a push to modernize apartments and have air conditioning, and those that think it's bad for the environment, and sitting in your apartment in the dark, in the middle of the day, sweating bullets is totally normal. And I'm just like, I was definitely love going to France, speak French. This was the first time I had heard them complain about being in Paris and France. So I was like, I think I convinced her that it's time to have air conditioning.
I see your point about that. And I have to sleep with air conditioning. But I think that there needs to be a middle ground, because so many times in the United States, the air conditioning in the summer, I'm freezing my ass off inside places. I'm literally freezing that I'm craving going to get into my car that I know has been sitting in the sun so I can just feel the warmth envelop me. It seems like there's just an extreme. There's either no AC, like what you're doing over there, or half the time in the United States, I'm freezing all summer long that it's like 100 degrees in Oklahoma, and I have a sweater around my neck just for being indoors.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's a little bit too much, and you don't need to have that. And that maybe is a sign of being a little bit excessive. If you have to put on a scarf in 100-degree weather indoors in Oklahoma. I think for me, I'd rather have the option. Yep. So let's just start with saying, okay, let's have the AC unit in the apartment. And if it gets too hot or too cold, you can regulate. But we didn't have a choice. So we're just like sitting there in the dark. All we had was like a small little tiny fan that we're all like huddled around at night so we can fall asleep. But as you can imagine, it really did not cool anyone down.
No, that would have sent me into absolute. I would have had the tailspin to end all tailspins.
Would you Uber to a hotel?
I would 100%. I would have Ubered to a hotel. I would have been like, peace out, bitches. I can't do it. I just can't. Like, my air conditioning broke for like 24 hours, and you would have thought that I was losing my kidneys, because I was like, this has to happen. I can't live without air conditioning. I'm too far the other end. Agree.
Yeah, and listen, you can call me. I mean, Kenza thinks my wife thinks I'm a little bit coddled because I am so used to like the amenities of
Are you a titty baby, Ayman?
Are you coddled,
baby?
Listen, I have lived in a lot of hardship places in my life. Okay, I've lived in Gaza. I've lived in Iraq during the war. I've spent a lot of time in Syria. I've spent a lot of time in countries that have gone through a lot of hardship. I feel like I've earned the right to say I would like to have air conditioning.
Yeah, especially in 2025. But you mentioned that you lived in Gaza, and we have been on your show, and then you and Pumps and I texted about this subject afterwards, which was a great conversation. And, this is something that is going on actively. And for people that live in flyover states like we do, there's not a lot of diversity. You hear about the stuff that's going on, and I'm not saying Pumps and me, but the average American voter is pretty low information about this. There are people on the coast that are hyper involved in it, but when you get to swaths of America, not for me personally, but like for friends, that that are left-leaning will say, yeah, I don't really get what's going on over there. It seems like they're always fighting. And then they just move back into their American ethnocentrism. But there's a gal named Miss Rachel. She has this YouTube channel, right? And so all of these people that are a generation younger than me, that like I have these nephews that are having babies now and they're watching Miss Rachel all the time. And Miss Rachel is talking about what's happening to these children and the famine and the starvation. And so it's piqued some interest of some women that have small children that live in flyover states. And recently, we're in the news all the time, are not in it. Well, we were a couple of weeks ago when I chewed out MAGA, but since then it's been pretty good. But we keep our eyeballs on the news. And I saw that this week, Israel attacked a hospital and killed 5 journalists. And I think what pisses me off so much about this is just that on its face. But then when you dig behind it, you saw American politicians when this war started autographing bombs that were going over there. And then when I think about Democrats, I expect this from MAGA. They're into cruelty. They don't give a shit. I get that. But Democrats, when I know that they will say Vladimir Putin's bad, Donald Trump is bad, alligator Alcatraz is effed up, denying people due process is effed up. Vladimir Putin has kidnapped 1.6 million Ukrainian children. And then they don't say a fucking word about Benjamin Netanyahu. It makes me crazy, that moral duplicity. And once you start opening your eyes up to it, it gets more and more daunting the further you look. So I want you to speak to this, to our audience who might be some progressives in these flyover states, and explain, I think your mother's Palestinian. And because a lot of Americans, our whole experience is just America.
America.
It is America. It is. So help us understand how this situation harms the American public.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. And thank you so much for that question. Let me start with that last point because it is such an important point, because one of the things that a lot of supporters of Israel do is that when we in America speak up about what is happening and what Israel is doing to Palestinians that is being enabled by America, the first thing that is often used to shut down conversation is, well, what about Sudan? What about Congo? What about any host of countries that are experiencing atrocities that rightfully deserve a lot of attention? But to your point, we in America have a tremendous responsibility for what Israel is doing in Gaza, because we are bankrolling that entire country. We're giving it military aid. We're giving it diplomatic cover at the United Nations. We shield it from accountability at the ICC and ICJ. We're sanctioning. We are literally sanctioning the international court that we also want to bring Vladimir Putin to justice. But when it came to Israel, that very same court we sanctioned because they wanted to bring Benjamin Netanyahu and the leaders of Hamas to account. But when we talk about America's role in what is happening in Israel and Gaza, we have an extra responsibility because, as I was saying, we provided diplomatic cover, we provided political cover. We are doing things in this country that we would not even allow for Americans to do. I'll give you one example. You are allowed to boycott American products if you want. If you want to stand up and say, hey, I would like to boycott these companies because I don't like what these companies are doing. And MAGA does this, and people on the left do this all the time. If we don't agree with a company, we're allowed to call for the boycott of that company. You're seeing in America, states pass legislation that are anti-BDS laws that if you want to boycott Israel, or if you want to boycott Israeli companies because of what they're involved in the oppression of Palestinians, it is becoming illegal in many states in the United States. And that's absurd. So I think the first thing I would say about this is this issue is an American issue. This is not a foreign policy issue. This is an issue that is reflecting on our society and our country with how we spend our money, what freedoms we're willing to curtail to exercise our rights of free speech when it comes to the issue of Israel. What do we expect of politicians and how dark money and lobbying is affecting the way politicians in this country behave? That's kind of like on the very high level part of the discussion. But when you go to the nitty gritty of it, what I always say to Americans, and you probably know I lived in Georgia My parents, when they moved to the US, they lived in Georgia for a little bit. I went to high school in Georgia. I lived in a deep red district for many years. It's now kind of a bit purplish. But I had a lot of experiences with Americans who didn't know the ins and outs of the conflict, but they understood what is right and what is wrong. And when you explain to people in very simple terms, there is a group of people who would like to have their freedom, want to live freely, want to be able to control their lives without being under military occupation. Americans understand that. And they understand that even more so when you explain to them, we are giving the weapons, we are giving the bombs, we are giving the diplomatic cover that sustains that occupation, that maintains that occupation. And it's done for a whole host of reasons. Some of it is religious fanaticism. There's this kind of like evangelical belief that somehow Israel is the biblical Israel that they have to support. We heard that from Ted Cruz in his interview with Tucker Carlson, just blindly accepting whatever Israel does because that's what he thinks the Bible commands him to do. And I think most Americans, when you talk to them and you appeal to them on a very basic moral level, they understand, hey, that seems very wrong that somehow my religion says you can kill other people, including Palestinian Christians. You can oppress Palestinian Christians. You can oppress all of these people in the name of some kind of religious or biblical prophecy. When we live in a country where we instill in people religious freedom, religious equality, the right to worship whatever you want. But when it comes, again, to Israel, it's all about a religious supremacy that allows that country to behave in a way that gets away with effectively murder, occupation, and oppression.
As my children are growing older, they're becoming more susceptible to fragrance in the products they use on their skin. And that is why I have been now diving in to what are the chemicals in the products that I use. And I am finding that so many chemicals are in there that are unnecessary. I was shocked that my laundry detergent is one of the worst culprits. So I switched to Earth Breeze. Their detergent sheets are free from harsh chemicals like dyes, parabens, phosphates, and preservatives. And they're way easier to use. No heavy plastic jugs, no mess, just a pre-measured sheet that dissolves in seconds. I feel so much better knowing I'm not exposing myself and my kids to those unnecessary toxins. And my laundry still comes out fresh and clean. If you want a gentler clean without harsh chemicals, switch to Earth Breeze. They're also backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. So basically, you are trying it risk-free. Right now, you can get 40% off with your subscription at earthbreeze.com/hadit. That's earthbreeze.com/hadit. Okay, you guys, you know what time it is. It's time we're giving away a ton of vibrators from Bellesa. Why? Because they're amazing. If you don't know Bellesa, they're a by woman for everyone company redefining sexual wellness. Their whole mission, empowering you to embrace, explore, and celebrate your pleasure. Now, the girlies at Bellesa sent us a ton of new toys, including their new game-changing silent collection, and our minds are blown. Yes, Bellesa launched the first ever silent vibrators. The brains at Bellesa created what they call Whisper Tech. And somehow, don't ask me how, they made a full power, all the right spots hitting, no noise making lineup of toys. It's actually unreal. The Whisper collection includes Whisper Vibe, Whisper Rabbit, and Whisper Bullet. So there's a toy for whatever spot you're trying to hit. Honestly, this collection is insane, and you have to see it, but not hear it to believe it. And of course, we had to hook you up. So we're doing a giveaway with Bellesa where everyone wins a free spicy toy. Yep, you heard that right. A fully free Whisper Vibe or a free rose section toy with any Whisper order. You know that viral rose-shaped section toy that's all over your Instagram feed retails for $99, but you get it free. Iconic. All you got to do is click the link in this episode description or head to bbvibes.com/I've had it. That's BBVIB WhisperVibe.com/IVEHADIT. The Whisper Vibes will stay completely silent, but the big question, can you?
The way I see it is anti-Semitism are people that are just straight up Jew haters. That, and you have that explicitly, I think, in MAGA. When you get to our side, you have people that want freedom for everybody and to stop human rights violations, regardless of religion, regardless if you're Jewish, regardless if you're Palestinian. If we see human rights violations, we go and fight for those that are being oppressed. And it just seems like when you get into these conversations right now, it gets so twisted and contorted. And this is what scares the shit out of me, Ayman. The Democratic Party is not addressing this. And you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a total anti-Semite. She is the Jew hater that I'm talking about. She is the rapture prepper who is making a point, because she's a grifter, but she is making a point that the MAGA movement is not America first, that they're Israel first. And this shit will hit hard in red states. That what she says will hit hard in flyover states. And the Democrats not addressing this leaves a vacuum for more MAGA grifters that oppose human rights.
That is such an important point. And I mean, I'm so glad that you brought up Marjorie Taylor Greene. There is this kind of like love that is happening for Marjorie Taylor Greene among some, pro-Palestinian activists and others who are watching this and saying, oh, look, even if Marjorie Taylor Greene now is speaking up like this. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think we should remind everyone, has not been a supporter of the Palestinian cause. She has time and time again actually stood against Palestinians. She has voted to send weapons to Israel, weapons that have been used to kill Palestinians. She attended the speech of Netanyahu in Congress when she had a chance to boycott it. This is a guy who has been indicted as a war criminal. So this idea that somehow she has now had an epiphany and realizes that she had it wrong all this time, I think, to your point, tries to mask a growing concern that she actually harbors anti-Semitic sentiments, if not feelings, that are very dangerous and should be condemned at every turn. But what has happened, as you so perfectly said, is that the Democrats, who are supposed to be the anti-war party, who are supposed to be the party that speaks with moral clarity about human rights and freedom and oppression, can't even get themselves to say that what is happening in Gaza right now is a genocide, when every single major international human rights organization, when Israeli human rights organizations, when every respectable international genocide scholar is telling you that what is happening in Gaza is genocide, the Democrats are basically still tiptoeing around the issue, won't stop sending weapons to Israel, still meeting with an indicted war criminal. You talked about Vladimir Putin being given a red carpet treatment in Alaska by Donald Trump, and being called out by the American media establishment and the Democrats. What did they do when Benjamin Netanyahu showed up to Washington, D.C.? He's visited Washington, D.C. several times since he has been indicted, and more importantly, during the Trump administration. How many Democrats have met with him? Did Cory Booker meet with him? Did Chuck Schumer meet with him?
Yes.
And that's my point.
And then Cory kind of hid in the photograph.
Yes, exactly.
And here's the thing. This is what I'm talking about when you open up your eyes. Like, we had Cory, Senator Booker, on the podcast, and I really liked him. And, it's hard to keep track of all these politicians and everything they do. But then I saw that picture of him, behind Benjamin Netanyahu, and I heard the chicken shit excuse that he wouldn't endorse Zoran Mamdani.
Yeah.
And then I see Hakeem do the same shit, and it's such chicken shit. It is total chicken shit. And then you start following the money, and then you realize, oh, they're prostitutes just like the right is. They're every bit as beholden. And that's what makes me think people will be in the comment section, Jennifer, you should run for office. And I'm like, I would rather earn my money on my back. And at least everybody would know exactly what I was, and I wouldn't have to get on TV and lie about it, because it is so devastating to hear somebody try to have moral clarity about one thing. You expect it with MAGA, but somebody like Booker or Jeffries have moral clarity about one issue, and then just complete blind obedience to Benjamin Netanyahu out of fear of being called an anti-Semite. And that's not what this is. This is about human rights over any sort of ethnic identity or religion. This is a human rights issue. Before anybody's Jewish, before anybody's Palestinian, we don't even get to that. We value human beings first and foremost. What they associate with is irrelevant to the suffering, in my opinion.
Well, and to go back to the first question that you asked me about America, and we, I alluded to this in the question of lobbying and the ability to influence our politics with money. Look, we had David Hogg, the former vice DNC chair, on our show this past weekend.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and we've had others, Cameron Kasky and others, very young, smart, the next generation, if you will, of democratic thought leaders in this country, not politicians, but just people out there having the important conversations. And I asked them point blank, I was like, look, why do you think that Hakeem Jeffries is not endorsing Zohran Mamdani? This is a very simple question. You have a candidate who has energized the base. He is speaking to a very specific segment of the population and appealing to young people. He is mobilizing people across all kinds of backgrounds, religious divide, ethnic divides, racial divides, gender divides. He's mobilizing people. He's winning. He's doing the things that you've been telling us that you want. Why is this person not getting your endorsement? And his answer was very simple. It's money. It's AIPAC money. These people put their donors ahead of their voters. And when you put your donors ahead of your voters, you're going to listen to what your donors tell you. And right now, the donors of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are telling them, hey, we don't want you to consider what Israel is doing a genocide. We don't want you to consider Benjamin Netanyahu, who's an indicted war criminal, somebody that you should cut off. And they're basically setting the agenda for what the Democratic Party leadership can say and cannot say when it comes to the issue of Israel. You had Catherine Clark, in an interview last week, I think she was speaking, and basically the minority whip for the Democrats basically say what is happening in Gaza is genocide, and we have to stop this genocide. We have to stop this starvation. A couple of days later, what does she do? She walks it back. Why? Why are you so afraid to describe what everybody is seeing and what people and experts are describing so clearly? And I think for the average Democrat, and I do think, honestly, in a lot of flyover parts of the country as well, people have had it. They are waking up and they're looking at their phones and they're seeing these pictures of kids missing limbs with their heads cut off, parents burying their children orphaned, losing all of their parents. They're seeing that on their phones day in and day out. And they're like, hey, we do not want to be a part of it. Bernie Sanders was just speaking, I believe, in somewhere in deep red state, part of his Fight Oligarchy tour. And he talked about the need to cut off weapons to the Israeli government. And he got a standing ovation. I don't understand why more Democrats are not doing that. Why are you not out there speaking with moral clarity about the moral issue of our time?
I think the biggest promoter of anti-Semitism right now is the Israeli government and Benjamin Netanyahu. The backlash to their provocations and their superiority that they think that they have. And then when the American public finds out that you don't have health insurance, but everybody in Israel does, and you have student loan debt, but nobody in Israel does, this is an opportunity that Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she hangs out with Steve Bannon, they're both nuts, but Steve Bannon is politically savvy. And he is using this, and she's starting to message this, because you go out to rural America and you start saying stuff like, they're not America first, they're Israel first. They got free health care. It's an immediate reaction to that. And she knows that, and she's using it. And why the Democrats aren't, and why, Zohran Mamdani is a fucking layup. It is a goddamn layup. We need new energy. He represents what blue cities and what America looks like, the diversity that we all like, and multiculturalism. It drives me crazy. This Democratic leadership drives me insane. But I do think we have to keep pressuring them, because we have the leaders that we have. And think about how far Trump pulled the Republican Party. Now they're commies. They're socialists now. Think about how far they went. Yeah, so we can pull. we have to keep pressure on the leaders we have, and we have to keep pulling them, as far as we can until, there's an election or whatever. So I think these conversations are important. Hakeem and Corey, come on, bros. I mean, come on. This is insane. All right, but it's time to move on to our world famous game.
World famous.
Barack Obama's played it.
Yeah.
So it's Kamala Harris, and now you. All right.
Oh, wow.
It's called... It's not impressed at all. All right. For two old broads from Oklahoma.
I didn't know this was in the works, but let's do it.
Okay. It's called Had It or Hit It. Oh my God. Welcome to Had It or Hit It. I would hit it. Had it. I hit it every day, sometimes twice a day. Okay. Had it or hit it, cranky flight attendants.
Had it. Definitely had it. Definitely had it.
See,
I can't spend hours on a plane with a cranky flight attendant who's like flinging, a bag of chips across the aisle and hitting you in the face. Or if you ask for a bottle of water, telling you, wait, you got to wait 30 minutes until I can get it to you. Or no, I've definitely had it with cranky flight attendants.
See, I'm a little opposite.
What's that?
I'm a little opposite because I feel like they have to deal. I feel like teachers and flight attendants have the worst jobs because they have to deal with the general public. And in teachers' case, the parents of the general public, which is the worst. And I loved it in COVID when they duct taped those people to the seats that got out of line. I was like, fucking go. They deserve it. They need it because some people just cannot assimilate into normal behavior, just even long enough to ride a plane.
We both kind of want to be cranky flight attendants. I think after you go through a decade more of the group chat, you might go, okay, I fucking get it now. I want a job where I can go to work and go, you need to straighten up or I'm kicking your ass off the plane. No water for you. Shut the fuck up. I'm kind of into it.
So I will say this. So here's my issue. Maybe, and maybe we can split the difference, which is maybe it's the airline companies that make the experience of travel so bad that everybody from the moment they're about to get on that plane, they just feel like shit, whether you're a passenger or you're a flight attendant. Because by the time you get on that plane, after going through everything you've gone through, the fees that you've had to pay, the crap that you've had to deal with about luggage, or your bag is 1 pound overweight, or you can't do that, it doesn't fit in the carriage, take your shoes off, pour the water out, whatever it is, you get on that plane and you're so cranky and you just want a cup of water or like a bag of peanuts. And so the flight attendant is already like at a disadvantage. She's getting a customer who's probably annoyed. So I do think that the entire airline industry needs to be disrupted, needs to be made over. We need to stop bailing out these companies.
Totally agree. The corporate welfare.
I don't want to make it sound like I'm against the flight attendants. I get they have hard jobs, but I do feel that if we revolutionize the entire airline industry, everybody from the moment they get on that plane, they get a comfortable seat, you get a freaking bottle of water that should not cost you an arm and a leg, and you can easily just watch a little bit of TV and get on with your journey.
I agree.
I think we should put Sean Duffy in charge of it. He's doing so well.
Oh my God. Okay. Had it or hit it, South Park.
Oh, definitely hit it. Love that show.
I believe in repetition in politics, and South Park is repeating the teeny weeny that we all know to be true from Stormy Daniels. And so we talk about that a lot, little dick energy. We talk about that a lot because we're petty and bored and in red state America. But I love that they just keep hammering it at them. And the fact that originally I think Charlie Kirk was somewhat flattered.
Yeah.
Because they just don't seem to get jokes. No, MAGA.
Yeah, exactly. And look, honestly, for me, I'm a free speech absolutist. I think that you have to have the ability to speak absolutely freely about everything that you want in this country. And it's a very difficult time when you're watching kind of the media and entertainment landscape with all of the changes that are happening on. Sometimes there's been a lot of criticism against the media and news organizations, big media companies, many of them bending the knee to Donald Trump out of fear. Studios talking about how they need to change the culture and the content of what they're creating to appeal more to MAGA, whatever. And that's fine if you think that's a commercial business sense. I don't want to get into that. But ultimately, what I love about South Park is they have constantly pushed and tested the limits of the boundaries of free speech. Is it always tasteful? No, but it's not meant to be. It's a cartoon that is supposed to just mock people in power. And so you don't have to laugh at every joke, but you can't deny that you can appreciate the fact that they keep the boundaries of what they want to say as expansive as possible. And I think for me, that is a net win for this country when you're talking about free speech across the board. The more free speech shrinks, whether it is political speech or entertainment speech or comedy, the more our society loses big time.
Yeah. And I think it also, my whole like thesis sentence about a lot of these MAGA people in the MAGA movement, it's like trickle down grievances. It's trickle down titty babies. All Trump does, he's whining. He's a victim. I mean, Stephen Colbert hurts his feelings. 60 Minutes hurts his feelings. Yeah, exactly. South Park hurts his feelings. And then it just trickles down. Everybody's feelings are hurt. And everybody, pardon my language, but the MAGA movement is just the biggest grouping of pussies I've ever seen, masquerading as, look at us, we're alpha males and we got nuts on our Ford F-150s. We got truck nuts, and it's too much. I've had it with them. Okay, two more. Had it or hit it, Cracker Barrel. Are you talking about the change in the logo or just generally across the board? Because I got to be honest with you. No, I hit it. I like Cracker Barrel. Listen, again, I'm telling you, I played sports in high school in Georgia. This was like in the mid 90s. Yeah. Cracker Barrel was a go-to spot before games, after games. It was right up there with Applebee's and Chili's. So you're not going to get any criticism from me about Cracker Barrel as a stop to eat or all you can eat. I mean, I'm there for it. Okay, last one. Had it or hit it, the United States of America.
I'm going to go with hit it. I'm always, listen, I have this conversation a lot with friends, and especially when we're overseas this summer, a lot of people are asking me about the United States, like what's going on, how difficult it is. All of that is true. This is not a good time for the United States, no matter how much MAGA tries to spin it. But at the same time, if we, the people who live in this country, and I'm sure you've heard this, right? My parents immigrated to this country. They chose America. And when you choose to come to live in America, you carry with it a certain responsibility and a certain burden that you don't walk away from it when things get tough or things get bad. And I do think that this is a moment of tremendous challenge in this country. I think it's very difficult for a lot of people, certainly with my background, who have one foot still in the Middle East and one foot here in the United States, knowing that your government has contributed to the killing of your friends and to your relatives and to people overseas, whether it's in Iraq or in Gaza or elsewhere. It's difficult to reconcile that. And it's a constant state of tension that many of us find. But if you turn your back on it, if you walk away from it, if you abandon that fight, then you are conceding the entire ground to the people who want to continue with this evil and barbaric foreign policy and the problems that they're doing here domestically. So the way that I look at it is, yes, this is a difficult time, a challenging time. But if you don't stay and fight in the spaces that you have in this country to try to make it better for our kids, future generation, then you're betraying the very ideals and values of what this country represents.
I completely agree. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. Good luck with the group chats and the group meetings. They are only going to go.
It's going to get worse
from here. I recommend drawing boundaries early.
I'm trying to get out of the WhatsApp group, but when I leave the WhatsApp group, it says Ayman has left the group.
No, but you need to set that precedent. You need to set that precedent. Like when they start going on, oh, well, do you want to get coffee? And what do you like in your coffee? Oh, I like mine with sugar. You just need to put left the group chat. Maybe it'll instill some self-reflection.
Maybe I'll try that. All right.
Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye. Okay. So he's really smart.
He's really smart. And he's so engaging and obviously adorable looking.
Let me ask you this. But you guys, before we started filming, Pumps had said, I said, I'd like our guest today. This is why Kylie's setting up the cameras. And because we were on his show on MSNBC. And then I said, yeah, he's really smart. And Pump says he speaks a lot of languages too, which, I find really sexy. So as he came on, I could tell. I was like, oh, yeah. And I'm noticing a pattern here. Hassan Piker and then Ayman. And I think what we have here is Pumps has a type. And it is maybe, 10, 15 years younger.
I couldn't pull the trigger on 10 or 15 years younger.
Why not?
Because that's my...
Okay, first of all, he's married.
No, I know. Right. But I'm just saying, I have this weird thing about my skin. because I feel my daughter's skin and her skin, she's young. It's like perfect. And I just think a younger person touching my skin like in a sexual way, it would just be a complete creep out vibe. So I just can't do younger. So I know that's fucked up, but that's just my own issue.
But you could marry your ex-husband.
Well, I was young and stupid when that happened.
All right. That's all we have for today, Pumps Tell 'em.
We will see you next Tuesday and Thursday.
I'll tell you what I've had it with. Let's hear it. I've had it with that. Listen up, patriots, gaytriots, and natriots. We have a new podcast that has dropped. It's called iHip News. It's Monday through Friday, every day, 15 to 20-minute hot takes on the political landscape of the United States of America, always served with a side of petty grievances.
We are on all the available platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever you get your podcasts, and YouTube.
Please go rate, subscribe, and review so that we will chart upwards with America's greatest legal mind. Pumps, what does an eagle say?
Caw-caw.
A little bit more enthusiasm.
Caw-caw.
That's it. That's
caw-caw.
That's the patriotism that this country needs right there.